Chopin's work always helps Janeway by the time. Rok-Tahk gets to play with the hero's sword, and Boxy forgot Jankum Pog's name. It's Jankum Pog. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton and Bonnie Gordon.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, nice. My name is Ryan T. Huss. Today we're doing a review of Star Trek Prodigy Season 1, Episode 16, entitled Preludes. How are you guys today?
I'm good. We're already at episode 16 and season 1's almost over. And then we got to wait for season 2. And
wait a minute.
What?
We have got to, I saved this thing. We have got to go over who wrote these episodes because it is
the entire writing room.
Yes.
The writer's room.
Check it out. Dang it, where is it? We're going to get to it right now in just the quickest moment. Here it is. So it's the entire writer's room that wrote this episode. It says the season 1 writer's room, Kevin and Dan Hageman, Julie Benson, Shauna Benson, Lisa Schultz-Boyd, Nikhil S. Jayaram, Deandra Pendleton Thompson, Chad Quant, and Aaron J. Waltke. It was directed by Steve In Chang An and Sung Shin.
Damn.
No wonder it felt like a bunch of little short stories. I wonder if the writer's room was just paired off to write each little story. Put it in
sections. That's an Aaron Waltke question.
Sure is.
Or a Hageman Brothers question, or just a random Prodigy Writers Room Twitter question that I'm sure we will have an answer to because everyone is very active. But no, you're right. It's almost like the episode works so well together, but there's all these little stories happening throughout that it's almost like, and it's like, I think this is a perfect example of where too many cooks in the kitchen does work, you know? Like the episode is extremely cohesive and everything flows really well, but you still have 10 writers working on it. So I think it really shows the amount of flow or kumbaya. What's the word I'm looking for? That the writer's room has. The
collaboration.
Sure. That's not the word I was looking for, but that one is probably better.
Though.
That's probably a better word. They work very cohesively together. Yes. I think.
There's a good synergy to this episode. If I were going to break it up, I would have everybody I would just say, okay, you're going to do Zero. Give me some Zero backstory. You do Rok-Tahk, and kind of divide it up that way. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it was divided up, but seems logical.
Rok-Tahk, still my favorite.
You know, it was one of those episodes that if you look at it on the whole, nothing happened. Right?
Yeah, everyone kind of stayed. They're all still on the ship. Nothing moved.
Loved it. It's one of my favorite episodes because there are all these little stories and backstories, and they were so interesting. And it was great that we got these now that we know the characters. If we got those backstories in episode 1, we would have cared less. But now we're like leaning in when we're like, okay, now we get to find out Rok-Tahk's story. Or now we get to find out Zero's. Like it was beautifully done. It was brilliant to put it in episode 16, I thought. And I really loved it. It felt like it was story hour at the Prodigy show.
Well, and you get to finally see how all of them came to be on the mining planet. We don't know. We obviously saw how Dal got there because he was sold off by his Ferengi cohort.
Yeah, that's
I should say. But we just immediately automatically have Rok-Tahk, Zero, all of them there already, and now we got to kind of see how they ended up traded in, which I thought was very interesting. Because again, now we're in the part of the series where I was not doing Scratch anymore. So all of these episodes are a surprise for me too. So it's really exciting because the only sections I get are where I'm muted for the computer or, random pickups. So I'm like, oh, I get to see Rok-Tahk's backstory.
Oh, wait, can we ask you, Bonnie?
Yeah.
Were you also,
I was not Boxy. However,
the person that did Boxy seemed to have a delivery of speech that was similar to yours, but in a higher pitch. So I was wondering if it might have been you. And what was so
funny is there was a few times where I'm listening going, did I record this? Like I thought it might have been me.
Yeah.
But then there were a few phrases where it's like, no, that's not my voice. That's not my voice. And then it would happen again, like, whoops. And I'd be like, is that me? And then I had to watch the credits to make sure it wasn't me, because I was like, I don't remember recording all of these lines. But I do recall recording a few of them, which is why I got confused, because I remember I auditioned for Boxy.
Oh.
I think they wanted they wanted it to sound different from the ship computer, and you know, my voice, my computer cadence is very similar. Oh, however, I was the Tellurite ship, the sleeper ship.
Warning.
So,
you said warning in there too.
Warning. So that's my big moment. You're welcome.
Yeah, I knew your voice was in there. I knew you were.
It was in there somewhere. Yeah, but the girl who played Boxy, in fact, she and I just connected on Twitter and like had like a fun little Twitter feud of like battle AI to the death, you know, or something like that. And she did an amazing job. I thought Boxy stole the show in that episode, especially in the Jacob Pog scenes. Like, what a funny interaction. Like, whoops. Plumbing, or you know, oxygen levels depleting. Whoops,
yeah,
it was really funny.
That's perfect.
Oops, oh yeah, oops.
This was a fun episode. I can't believe that we didn't have all this backstory up until now, because I felt like I know the characters already, and then I'm like, oh wait, I don't even really know these characters like before they ended up on the colony, and so hearing the backstory was kind of crazy. That Rok-Tahk was living this Jean-Claude Van Damme blood sport lifestyle for a little.
It's like a carnival lifestyle too. Like, you know, Rok-Tahk was basically a carny.
Yeah. And there was a lot of stuff there. I really liked the moment where Rok-Tahk was feeling, finally vindicated and got some good feelings from being the victor in the fight. Right. Mm-hmm. When Rok-Tahk decided, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm actually going to win this fight. And that moment there where there was a freedom and kind of a moment of being recognized and applauded, right? As opposed to booed. So that's another kind of real moment for a lot of kids out there that, you know, feel insecure in some ways. But when they get the affirmation from the response of positive response, that they're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing something that people like. And I thought that was a very realistic kind of approach to what Rok-Tahk's backstory. And I really liked also Zero's backstory as well. I thought I'm really fascinated about what Zero comes from and this kind
Medusans,
of the Medusans. And we don't really know much about the Medusans, do we?
No, but really. I do like how you said the word vindicated a minute ago, because that made me say, did somebody say Vindicator? We'll talk more about Jamila Jamil's character in a bit, because remember, she's called the Vindicator right now. But no, Medusans, we didn't know much about other than their mere presence. Like just even seeing a Medusan makes people go crazy. Which is why, if you notice, the Kazon, when they captured the Medusans, they had these visors on.
Yeah, so they had ice shields.
These Kazons got it figured out, and it was really cool. And it was cool to see that the Kazons were the one catching everybody. You know,
the
that
Kazon
was just
traders. Yeah,
it was kind of
and it makes
thing,
sense.
Yeah.
And I also love the quick scene where they bring Zero to, the diviner, and you see Gwen. Who was, because Gwen was the translator that did all of the negotiations with the Kazon traders. So it's fascinating to flash back to see how connected their lives already were without them even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that means she probably negotiated, Rok-Tahk's capture and Jankum Pog's. Like, so when you think about it, she had her hand in almost all of their capturing, but again, she didn't know that she thought they were criminals, so she didn't know, she didn't understand.
Yeah, there's a lot of guilt building up there.
I did have a nitpick with the Medusans' way of transportation, their mode of transport. I felt like the Medusans wouldn't travel in a ship, and that's my own weird kind of limited thinking. But if you're an entity that's an energy type of source that's not really tangible, like flying in a ship doesn't seem to me the way you would transport yourselves in a collective group. You would have some kind of other worldly type of transportation as opposed to
like on a Gormagander.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They'd get places faster in a ship. That's for sure.
Yeah, they would.
True.
But it just seems like that's like a conventional thing for a very unconventional entity.
Yeah, my initial thought is wanting to dispute that, but I'm like, yeah, no, you're probably right. Because my first thought was like, well, what if, they breathe silicone only from their planet, right? And so they have to be on a ship because that ship is going to be silicone based and whatever. But then I'm like, well, no, because it also shows them exploring other planets and they didn't have like a helmet protecting. So I'm like, okay, I can't find fault with that thought, but I'm going to keep working on it.
Yeah,
I love how Ryan's trying to justify it. Yeah, good job, Ryan.
Yeah.
Well, I love these little puzzles, these headcanon games. Yeah. These are fun.
Now, when they got on the ship, I was like, well, so which one of them is the pilot? And who's the who's piloting this thing? And are there people touching the buttons? And how are the hell's this thing moving around? So there was kind of the thing that went through my mind right away when they got on the ship. It was like, who opened the cargo door? How did it go? Is it telepathically?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, we don't know how their ship is controlled. It could be.
I don't.
Could be some kind of.
My mind thinks about that.
Connection.
Like, how does that ship move around? Like, who's in charge? Who's the captain? How does it work? So once I saw it, those were the questions I had, and it made me think. Well, is that the mode? Like, would they be in a ship technically, or would they have like a whole different kind of weird design type of ship that's powered by their own energy or whatever? I don't know, something different.
Interesting. There's a little bit, I'm just going to read a little excerpt from Memory Alpha here about the Medusans. It says, as energy-based life forms, Medusans had no physical body. They were known to identify as genderless individuals. Individuals lived together in hive minds. Okay, so hive minds. Medusans' thoughts were the most sublime in the galaxy, but their physical appearance was exactly the opposite. We know about that. They are telepathic. Yeah, it doesn't seem like we know anything about if they have like telekinetic powers, if like just their minds move stuff, or if they just like they get a little energy tendril reaching out and pushing something, or how that works out. But that would be a really interesting question to ask the Hagemans or the Benson sisters or Aaron J. Waltke, because they'll be like, well, I'm glad you asked that. And they'd,
they crack their knuckles and give us a whole TED talk.
How long do you have?
Well, because you have to think Zero is in that containment field, and they can control
how does it move? Yeah.
The
appendages and stuff.
Thank you.
How do the appendages
fill in my blanks, please? Because today's a bad word day for Bonnie. I have like
hair day we were talking about.
Great hair day, horrible word day. I have like 80 songs of lyrics in my head that I'm trying to remember for this evening, and I'm like, appendages is not in my lyric database. So thank you for that. Mm-hmm. But no, I love this episode. I honestly, my only complaint is that I feel like they're so short. I feel like there's so much more that I want to see, and
they always ended in like this, like right when I want more.
Mm-hmm.
It's
that's the way they're supposed to do it.
I know, but I hate
this. Is the way, Sirach. This is the way.
I know, but they leave me like Janeway getting hit over the head right at the end. I'm like, what? What's the what?
Oh,
yeah, that's pretty hardcore. Prodigy's getting hardcore with that.
Yeah, you knock out Janeway, you have to talk to me. That's all I'm saying.
Also,
you hurt my captain. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, and I'm like, she walked up on the Diviner and the Vindicator, and just basically like what the hell's going on in here? Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine what's going on in her head. Having seen Ensign Insensia, I don't even know if she knows that's Ensign Insensia.
That's true.
Yeah,
was she still wearing the star? Was she still wearing the Starfleet uniform? I think so.
Yeah, she was. She was.
Yeah.
Could she really put it together which officer that was?
It's in her quarters.
Well, it was in her quarters, right?
You're right. It's got to be her.
I mean,
you're right.
Yeah,
using
she's Janeway. She's not an idiot.
She's not an idiot.
She's gonna figure it out really quickly. She's gonna
elementary, my dear Janeway. Yeah, she's deduced it enough. I think when you walk in someone's quarters and see someone dressed in the uniform.
And we also found out that apparently there are multiple dreadnoks, and that was such a really fun. And there's much to talk about here, but that was such a fun way to look at things where all of the I forgot what that race is called, but the Diviners and the Vindicators and all those people, they each had one dreadnok. And then when they went through, when they went through that wormhole or that anomaly, not only did they pop up in different places, but in different times. So the Diviner and the Vindicator were the same age when they went in, but Diviner's been hanging out here for 20 years. Vindicator just popped up 3 years ago, I believe was her story. So now there's 17 years difference between them. But that's just another fun little scientific, game to play with your head, is like, they can pop up anywhere, but also anytime.
Yeah. Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. But that, also makes you think how many did survive and how many might pop up later in the series.
Exactly.
And thinking about that, or if they didn't survive, maybe the dreadnoks did. So maybe there's a bunch of dreadnoks walking around. Like, you get a dreadnok, you get a dreadnok. There's a dreadnought Oprah somewhere just passing them out like cars. Or
Buffalo
coffee tables,
Soldier.
as hers was.
Yeah.
Dreadnok Rasta. But I actually, that reminded me of the founders from Deep Space Nine sending those embryos around the Gamma Quadrant to find out how people would react with their species if they were to find them. So it's kind of
they spread their seed all over the galaxy.
Right. So I thought that definitely reminded me of that. And I think they're from Solemn. They were naming the planet that the Diviners from. I think it was called Solemn, which I thought.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I should know this. I should know.
It was called Solemn, and I think they're Solemites. But yeah, it would be called Solemn was the. Solemn was the planet, if I'm not mistaken.
And what's the alien race called again, Bonnie?
Valnakot.
Valnakot, thank you. Sorry, you were saying, Sirach?
We are the Valnakot. There's nothing that we cannot overcome.
Valnakot, okay. And so, the other interesting thing that I had, like, just questions when you watched the episode, what happened to Chakotay? And that's another, like,
that was so cool. Yeah. That was such a baller move, though.
So he's like
here I am, you got me. And then he's like, but you don't got the ship. Bye. Sorry,
bye.
Suckers.
Yeah, see you later. Protostar activated. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be the other question. Did Chakotay survive? Where did he survive? How did he survive? Did they kill him? I mean, I want to know a little bit more about that too as well. So they've left a lot of open questions. This show is so good at whetting the palate and kind of leaving you hanging, so you want more. I want to know more about all of these characters. I love Jankum because his confidence is through the roof. He's like, as a noble Tellarite.
Yeah, my royal breeding. Yeah, exactly. But also, I love that they showed a bit of his backstory to show him doing such a selfless act for the rest of his crew.
Yeah.
Like, he basically just was like, okay, in order for everyone else to survive, I'm gonna have to leave. And like, that's such a selfless act, especially for Jankum Pog, who, throughout the episodes, he has a good heart, but sometimes he can come off a little selfish or hot-headed, or it just shows that in that underneath the hard exterior is a soft, mushy interior.
Yeah, I also love the moment when people are often kind of ridiculed for mistakes they make, and I thought that Dal in the last episode made the mistake of getting genetically enhanced, right, with that doctor. But it turned out his genetic enhancements helped them kind of escape the situation they were in, so it was kind of necessary. It worked out for the best. But what they addressed in this episode in regards to that was when he says, hey, sorry, forgive me if it takes me more than a day to recover from, feeling like a genetic mistake or feeling like, and so I thought that was a great acknowledgement of one, has this feeling of feeling inadequate because he feels like he is a genetic experiment, a petri dish type of experiment.
Yeah.
And so he acknowledges that, he tries to compensate it by getting the enhancements, then realizes it was a mistake and acknowledges that also in the beginning of this by saying, look, forgive me, I made a mistake, but that's because I feel this type of way. And I think that's important for people to articulate when they go through expressing themselves and their feelings about what they're going through in life, to just acknowledge it and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. And, this is the lesson I learned out of it.
I really I just want to say really quickly, that's what I like so much about the serialized format, is that the writers, these awesome, amazing writers for Prodigy, it would have been so easy to do like the reset. Okay, everybody's happy, everybody's normal. And I think that's a really good point, that they're like, well, no, it's the next day or whatever. Dal is still feeling this. It's not just like, 80s sitcoms where everything goes right back to normal, right back to A on the next episode. But what were you saying, Bonnie? Sorry about that.
No. It's jumping right off of that. What I love about this episode the most is that, so all of these kids, they have gone through some sort of trauma in their life. And the fact that they're all sitting around talking about it. And Rock Talk even says, after she shares her backstory and Gwen, comforts her, she goes, no, it's okay. It actually feels better to talk about it. She says something similar in that vein. I'm a big advocate for like mental health, and everyone should go to therapy and really deal with their past trauma. And I love how the writers did it in such a delicate way to show kids like it's okay to share things that have happened to you in the past that might not be, happy, but talking about it can make you feel better about it, sharing it with people who might understand and be going through similar type of trauma. They all in their own way ended up on this mining planet, and they all have different stories, but they in their own way experienced the same type of trauma, and just talking it over and sharing their stories got them to grow even closer. So I just love that to show the camaraderie. They get closer and closer as a chosen family as the season progresses, and them sharing such personal stories and things about themselves, I feel just made that bond even stronger. Even though Zero knew all of them from the beginning, of course, apparently, which was pretty funny to me.
Actually, that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, you even look at like the 7 dwarves, like Snow White's 7 dwarves. 6 out of 7 of those dwarves were not happy. But
Ryan, I'm gonna punch you.
No, I'm just saying that was an interesting thing. Just at the end, there,
but they had a doc to talk about it.
Yeah, but 6 out of 7 also weren't grumpy. Look, what was up with Zero just kind of reading Rock Talk's mind? I was a little bit like,
well, here's
are
the
we
thing.
allowed to just like snoop into people's minds because we care?
Well, I feel like, you also have to remember they are not an adult either. They're still a kid in their own way. So they might not, I don't know how Medusans work. Maybe they can't fully control their telepathic abilities. Maybe when someone's thinking about something, or maybe because they're used to being in a hive mind. But what I do love about Zero is that even though they knew everyone's past and the darkness that some of these characters like Jake and Pog and Rock Talk were hiding, they never forced it out of them, and they also never told any of the others like, oh, this is what happened to Rock Talk, let me tell you, like totally. Zero was very adamant about, why don't you share your story, and which is funny because Zero is going into the medical field. It's almost like Zero was in a way a therapist in that way. A counselor, exactly.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what was you just gave a definition of the Medusans. I wanted to pick up on one of the words in the definition. What was that you said, Ryan, when you talked about the Medusans and how they are? It gave a definition.
Telepathic.
Hive minds.
Hive mind. I was wondering
but
if
it said something about. It said something about their sensitivity, like they are harmless or something. There was a word an adjective used to describe them that
there was genderless.
Okay, genderless. Yeah.
Empathic, probably telepathic and empathic.
It said something. It was something about their intent, and I feel like it's like they're non-violent or something to that effect. I don't remember the full description.
Yeah, I don't recall either. Sorry to say, but I mean, it seems clear that they are not malevolent in any way, and they do get a bad rap because people have laid eyes upon them, and that person goes crazy and they go mad, so they think, whoa, Medusans are bad news. They're like monsters. They kill people. They make us catatonic. And as we're finding out, either they're not all bad, or maybe none of them are bad. We don't know, but it's, the Kazon should have put on those eye visors and talked to them and found out what's up with them so that we could know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The other thing was, I think that I'm really liking the way Captain Janeway is being portrayed in this show. There is a sensitivity to the fact that they're kids. There's a sensitivity to their experience as far as knowing they were actually captives and they're not criminals. They're actually escaped from this, this colony. So I think there's a sensitivity there that Janeway is approaching this, her interaction with these kids. Yeah, with Admiral Janeway's, with the way she's approaching, the interaction with these kids. Like, okay, she's not forcefully trying to let's blow them out of the sky and teach them a lesson. She's very delicate. I like the fact that she got the report on their background, was able to, in this episode, kind of get their names. So hearing her say their names was kind of poignant for me in this episode. I feel like, she's going to figure it out. She's not going to screw this up, right? She's going to figure this out and how to navigate through this situation. Like, she immediately went to the diviner when she was like, well, who's the person that put this, this warrant out for all of these kids, right? And they're like, well, it was the diviner. And like instantly she's like, I think we need to ask our guest if they know a little bit more about that right away went straight to the issue. And I love that problem solving about her character.
She's very the way that they're playing her, she's always been smart, but you're right. Now that she's realizing that there's more to this than what meets the eye, they're not like crazy criminals on a hijinks, destroying things in their path. These were kids that were kidnapped basically and put into labor. And she's now realizing there's a lot more to the story that she doesn't know. And so
she's like, and she knows, she's like, why are they avoiding me? Like, why are they not like, she's starting to ask these questions, there has to be a reason why they're not communicating with me, or they're avoiding me and they're staying in this place. So she's not just saying, I don't care. Let's just, find some way to fix the problem. She's actually taking her time to understand the problem as opposed to just instantly coming up with a solution for, hey, I know what we can do. We can just blow it up. She's being more deliberate. And I think that the level of thought is,
she did kind of almost blew them up last episode. I mean, not to,
but life or death, good of the many and the
that's
few.
True. Can't get those Romulans getting hold of that technology. She's constantly
weighing it out. She's constantly weighing out the good of the many and the few. So,
but she didn't blow them up. That's the
exactly
what we're going to take away from that.
Matters. I do want to point out really quickly too that, again, I keep saying this and we keep talking about this, but the artistry and the level of this artistry is freaking unbelievable. Like when they would do the flashbacks on the stories, and it was so stylized. It was like that stylized imagery that made it almost look like mythical
comic
paintings
book.
Or I wrote down comic book. Yeah. Because
graphic
I didn't
novel.
really want to call it comic book because it's obviously better than that, but it had that kind of imagery,
graphic
right?
novel. Yeah.
And it was so cool. And then, but it was like comic book, motion. If you remember that old Black Panther cartoon from maybe like 10 or 20 years ago. They had a similar style. It was really interesting. But anyway, especially with the Medusans background, and when Essentia was telling the story of, of what happened with their race, and that artistry was just, I don't know, I can't really properly express what it looked like or how great it was, because I'm not this amazingly talented artist like these people are, but I just want to give them their proper dues and shout them out because they're just killing it. This looks beautiful. This show looks beautiful.
Yeah, I can't wait till they release like an art book of some kind, or I'm waiting for more merch. I'm sure everyone is.
Or like Sirach was saying, we could do a graphic novel. They could have Prodigy graphic novels in between season 1 and 2, kind of like bridging that, or talking more about, the Dreadnoks or whatever. Any little thing would be so cool.
Even if it was just like an online digital one. Get on that, artist. Let's
just give us anything.
Just give us anything. I know. I hate that we're already at episode 16 because there's only a few more left, and I'm like, I don't want it to end because now we're gonna have to wait for season 2.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till like March or something, right, guys?
Yeah. I
don't know. The other thing that I thought was interesting is people always, not people, but there's different reasons why I guess people would like or dislike something. And in this particular instance, the diviner and his people have a dislike for the Federation. And the reason for the dislike for the Federation, at least that was offered to us in this episode, was that they refused to take sides in a civil war happening on their planet, right? And I thought that was interesting to dislike somebody for refusing to take sides. Usually it's like, well, he took his side or he took my side. But in this case, it's refusing to take either side. And I thought, oh, that's a interesting thing to hate the Federation for not taking a side.
I was thinking, I took a few notes too on like certain lines that stood out for me. The very end made me laugh because it's like every father with a daughter, or teenage daughter, whenever she asked the question, how could your daughter betray us? And he went, she met a boy. I laughed out loud. I laughed out loud because that was just
on that one too.
What a great line. I was like, every father watching with their kid right now is going, oh God, yep, they met a boy. Yep.
The glorious delivery of John Noble nailed it.
I thought that was a great line.
Yeah, it's such a great line. It's like, it's the doom of us all.
It's his
young
fault,
love.
That was kind of special, actually. I did like that moment. The other moment that I thought was interesting was when the diviner started to take up for the Federation and say, well, they saved me. They're not bad. They saved me. And it was his other, it was Essentia and the other one that had to say, no. We got beef with these guys. Let me remind you of the history. This is what happened. They had to walk him through it because he was he was starting to be on the Federation side. So that let me know they left a little crack of a window open for a redemptive quality for the diviner, in my opinion. Just by
I don't know. He enslaved a bunch of kids. I don't think he has much of
forgot about that.
He forgot about it.
Sure. Yeah. In his mind, he never did anything wrong. Yeah. Like children. I would never put children in a mine. Yeah.
However, there is something to be said for the fact that, maybe wiping his memory clean allowed him to start getting the slightest bit of a conscience.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who knows where that'll go, but it's, it's good to know, maybe he'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe these horrible things I've done. And now I'm going to be the next member of the Protostar crew. I will be the ensign, of course.
He was the one who knocked out Janeway, though. Let's not forget. His redemption arc is already slowly
and tried
down.
To catch himself.
No, pretty sure he landed right on her
clavicle.
Yeah, sure, that's the word.
That was Kirk Fu right there.
Right? He pulled a Kirk Spock one-shot wonder right there.
Yeah.
Just knocked her out, did a Vulcan pinch. And
so I did have a question, because I'm not exactly, I always thought that Dreadnought was the boss. But is it not? It's the Diviner that's the boss, right? Right?
Dreadnought are like they're machine minions. Like they're number ones, but machinery wise, I'd say.
Okay.
So they each get their own Dreadnought. They each get their own little like machine helper, like assassin person.
Okay.
Right? Assassin.
Yeah.
Robot.
Dreadnought's just got the coolest name. That's what it is.
It is really cool. And had the coolest Dreadnought, the outfit in the beginning. Remember when he was in those the cape things, and then he would pull it off and all these it slices, it dices, it like he was like a freaking Swiss Army knife. I was like, oh gosh. Put the cape back on. Put the cape back on.
And he can turn into a table. So I mean he's multifunctional.
Right? I could use a Dreadnought, when I need to put my feet up. Be like, yo, Dreadnought, get over here.
Exactly.
My coffee table is not the correct height. Can you adjust, please?
Oh, Bonnie, by the way, you were saying that you wanted to do an impression of Murph's story, right?
What? Yes. Yes.
No, when they said, "What's Murph's story?" and he just let out a burp, and they're like, "Ha ha ha ha."
Oh, yeah. Do you need me to reenact that? Because I can't. I've been very gassy today. I was expecting some like really cool interpretive events.
Don't dare Bonnie.
Don't dare Bonnie.
I have no filter, gentlemen. This is why you keep me around. But no, I was expecting from Murph like some kind of like big epic interpretive dance of like, like him actually explaining his story, and then they've just sitting there going, "Oh, okay, Murph," but really his is like the most traumatic of them all. But he can't tell them because he's wow, whatever he does, and then he's like trying to explain his. Anyway, that's Murph's backstory, and then he farts. So.
Yeah,
I think people should do a little bit more of that, though. I think if somebody asks you like a question, they say, like on a panel, Bonnie or Sirach, what led you into wanting to be an actor, and what were the trials that you just like let out some kind of bodily function, and everybody.
You've never seen me in a panel, Ryan. You've never seen me in a panel.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned to see Bonnie's next panel. Make sure you get your tickets early.
Shout out to Starbase Indy, who kept a fan right off to the side, and by fan I mean an actual one that went. Just kidding.
By the way, also I'm liking this Vulcan, number one that
he's Andorian, but he does have a very Vulcan delivery. I keep noticing that, like he's got to be. He's
half Vulcan. He's got to be half Vulcan.
He's Andorian. This guy.
He's Andorian.
I get Spock
so
vibes
straight laced. Yeah, totally.
I mean, he just might be a chill dude, just because he's just like, what's up,
he's a heavy reader. He's got a lot of books
David
in his quarters.
Diggs, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah,
beautifully by him.
He's a Broadway baby.
Okay.
Oh,
my theater people. He was in Hamilton.
But yeah, I do get a lot of. You guys don't get the Vulcan vibes.
Totally do. But he's an Andorian. Never judge a book by its cover. Even Andorians can be very logical and serious, and his delivery is so fun and interesting. It's so like calm and soothing and
absolutely
pensive. I really like it.
I do too.
I'm hoping he breaks out into song.
And I actually,
dang it.
I hope.
I also like the person that played the hero. I felt like the hero character actually liked Rok-Tahk.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely he did. And I love how at first, whenever Rok-Tahk wins, you think that Rok-Tahk's being punished by the hero, like that he's upset. Yes. But honestly, he was regretting it because he knew he didn't want Rok-Tahk to leave. He knew that it was over. Like seeing the sadness in his eyes when, Rok-Tahk was pulled away. It's like, oh gosh. And I love the little moments that they show. It's so amazing what you can do with animation now.
Animation, yeah, the wink at each other.
The wink, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just showing little things like facial expressions and like little things with the eyes and the face. And it's all animated, no dialogue needed. And I mean, years ago, that would not have come across. There's so much life in animation now that, you know, you can convey so much emotion just by a glance or just by a reflection in someone's eyes. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, also, very quickly, there was a Bolian in this episode and a Caitian. The Bolian was the guy that I guess ran the arena and like sold them off. He was the blue guy.
The head circus master.
And there was also a Caitian. And for that brief second, I was like, "Oh my god, is that?" I
thought that was the same Caitian. I thought
no,
it too.
All she did was hiss to be mean. But I was like, "I'm not giving up on that Caitian. I'm gonna hang on to the hope that someday I'll wait till season 11 if I have to, and then it'll be like a full-grown Caitian." But
as a cat person, I would love to see an entire series of Caitians. Like, I'm talking like, you know, we'll call it the Caitian cast. Yeah.
And napping
the Caitian
more.
caper or something. Yeah.
Knocking down Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Star Trek, Revenge of the Caitians. You know, anything Caitian. I'm good. Mm-hmm. Speaking of,
we did get
off camera.
We did get that Caitian sighting. That was pretty cool, actually. I was like, oh, is that the one? No.
And then in the stands of that arena, we did see some Kazon silhouettes and a couple Klingons too. Saw some Klingon silhouettes in there, which was fun.
I did. Yep. I saw the Klingons. But I did think that Janken was so amazing for saving those 29 lives and just walking off like that. I'm like, this guy's a good guy.
He fixes the entire ship by himself and then takes off into the unknown to save everyone else's life. And you know, when you escape in a pod like that, you don't know how long you're going to be floating aimlessly through space. He had probably no idea where he was navigation wise. Like, he just, without hesitation, just hopped in. Yeah.
What a hero.
What a hero.
We do love awesome Janken.
I don't know why the oxygen levels couldn't keep him around. Like, I was like, my math might be a little off, but I mean, they're all in their little tanks.
He exerted all of that extra oxygen, so those other guys just can't survive.
Oh no! So just like Jagenpog, Sharok has decided to give us more oxygen and exit through a pod.
Oh yeah,
we lost him.
He'll be back in a moment. While he comes back, we only have a minute left anyway. We do want to give a very special thanks to Homer Frizzell out in New York City, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel also in Manhattan, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackman, Tom Carmen, a.k.a. Skillet, Timothy Baum, TJ Jackson Bay out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arukin. Too bad Srock's not here to say his fun thing there. Titus Moeller, Darlena Marie, John Mann, Dr. Muhammad Noor, Tierney C. Diekman, Anna Post, Rex A. Wood, Anil O. Palat, Erica Strom, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, DQ, Neil Akasaka, Justine Norton Kurtzen, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, Edward Foltz, Radek Orszewski out in Southwest Poland, everybody knows, Henry Unger, live from Tokyo, Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, and of course, Dr. Susan V. Gruner. Before we go, any final thoughts, Bonnie?
Oh gosh. And Murph. I don't know. No, I loved this episode and love that we get to see more of the past of some of our favorite characters that we've grown to know and love.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to the full entire writer's room of Star Trek Prodigy. You were all incredible. Seriously, what a joy it's been to not just be a part of this series off to the side, but to watch it as a fan as well, and just to watch it unfold and see everyone's reactions to it. Like, you all should be so proud. And I can't wait to see what the last few episodes of this season entail, because I know what's coming up in season 2 and I'm ready for it to come. Let's go. Woo!
Ooh, tell us.
I won't. I will not. I want to keep working, Ryan. I do not want to get fired. Yeah. Hey.
No, of course.
Fun fact, though, not going to tell you.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Sirach will probably come right back here as soon as we hit stop recording, but he'll be back next week, as will Bonnie, I bet, as will I, sadly, but surely. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you all next time. And until then, always remember the 7th rule.
Live logs and proper.